The hype for the final Black Ops 6 Zombies map honestly felt a bit underwhelming. The prospect of this game felt more like an inevitability instead of the exciting last chapter of what has been a great Zombies experience overall. Leaks have been coming through for months now about the return of Primus at the end of this game, which will result in them carrying the Dark Ether story into the next game. Going into playing this map, I was personally very excited as I am a huge Zombies fan and I felt like Black Ops 6 really hasn't missed thus far. And while I do still think this game is a peak Zombies experience, it does still leave some to be desired in the ending of the game. I've really enjoyed the gameplay, wonder weapon, general aura, and what the map's ending means for the next game. But my issues come from the fact that the ending scene feels super rushed and doesn't do anything to flesh out the story at this moment. Our main crew gets zapped into the dark ether, and Richtofen is able to reunite with his family. This is actually a nice moment in an otherwise dark game. It comes at a cost, but it is nice to see this moment for the character. He has been someone who's clearly been tormented by the events of Cold War and BO6. The experiments, everything he chooses to partake in is to save his family.
Fire! Run! For God's sakes! Run!
This honestly is where BO6 and its storyline for zombies excels. Many of the main characters have genuinely good moments and motivations. The big issue is that these aspects aren't what is used effectively throughout the map. What made the old zombie stories so special was the struggle the characters felt, and it was something that made you connect with them. Maps like Blood of the Dead focus on the atmosphere and the idea that you are stuck in an eternal loop. Couple that with the characters you love in the Primus crew, and it is more than a map, it's an experience. Then you have the ending cutscene of Blood of the Dead, where Richtofen is forced to sacrifice himself to break the cycle. You get this moment where he is begging for help from his friends.
No. No, you can help me. You're a doctor. Most faces. You won't even remember.
It is a terrifyingly human moment. It is a kick in the gut. Someone you have been watching struggle to be better and do better to save the world is being left behind and forgotten. Now, Blood of the Dead isn't trying to do the same thing as Reckoning, and I understand that it will be different tonally, but this is an example of why these stories have been so effective in the past. This is something this map seemingly can't fully commit to. There are some great lines of dialogue and character moments where you see the group start to change in their ideologies and argue about what is going on, but it isn't at the forefront of the Easter egg. The final moment of the ending cutscene is our Primus crew walking into frame, and to be fair, it is a very high moment and is something that is going to be exciting about the next game coming in November.
Wait, how did he do that?
He sacrificed them. He sacrificed them. He literally sacrificed them to get his kids.
He didn't sacrifice
Dude,
them.
he literally Oh, I thought he did. Why is the cutscene all of a sudden so like high quality? Oh my god!
My issue, however, is that this doesn't do anything for the map we are currently in and leaves you feeling this experience is only to get you to buy the next game. The gameplay and lore drops and the dialogue are top notch, but it isn't translating at all to the main ending of the game. Herein lies the biggest problem with bringing back older characters so often. We aren't able to spend time and learn all about the new characters because we are looking towards going back to what is comfortable. The Zombies community is definitely a group who cannot stand change, and this is extremely clear when you see creators like Mr. T Lexify and Tim Hansen turn their back on the devs that are genuinely trying to do good by the community. They are extremely negative to the changes that are being made, and they forget that every game that came before it has its hiccups and low points. No Zombies game is perfect through and through, not even Black Ops 3, and their dialogue about the games do more harm than good. Creators like Afterlife give a different and more balanced perspective, critiquing when it's needed and praising when it's warranted. He's not a perfect creator, but he gives us more of the balanced perspective and dialogue that we need in the community. The more mainstream creators for zombies like Lex divulge an extreme overreaction and negativity towards the new games. This has forced Treyarch to feel like they have to go back to what the general fan loved about the old games, which will inevitably result in fans hating on them and saying that whatever they do with the premise crew in the future will never be as good as what came before. It is an unfortunate cycle we live in, and I hope it really doesn't crash and burn. The community has been ridiculously angry and reactionary about every new map that comes out. It's always videos about how the new map is the devs' last chance to win them back, blah blah blah. It can be quite pathetic at times, and I see this behavior in other franchises as well. The fans either decide that they hate something unanimously or they love it. And many times when they hate something when it comes out for reasons they can't even explain, we see situations for games like BO4 as they now have a fan base after being ridiculed for so long. We need to step aside from our emotionalism and allow for these maps to breathe and be good in their own right, which is what they have been. We are overly negative and reject whatever new ideas are tried, which is how we end up in these situations. The fans will complain and complain about bringing back these characters no matter the quality of the story. We were finally getting a crew that was interesting in a lot of ways, and they could have been brought up to be some great characters. But we can't accept change. We have never been able to. This is why BO4 failed, and this unfortunately may spell failure for the next game. I don't mean for this to all be negative, however. I do think there is a lot of promise in what we have so far in Black Ops 6, and I do think a lot of the features and newly created aspects of the game can add a lot to the next one. I do think the addition of the premise crew can actually also add a lot as well. It's not totally a bad thing. And I do think that some of the discourse around the zombies maps in a negative way will add to the next ones and will continually push Treyarch to do better. My only problem comes from when Treyarch is unnecessarily ridiculed by fans and critics alike. The hate train for Black Ops 6 has been around ever since the Tomb came out, and everybody continues to push it because it's what gets views. I do think that this is not everybody's thing, though. I do think while some people do push for the negativity to get views, a lot of people simply don't understand that you're not going to love the games as much as you used to. Yes, you played a zombies game when you were a kid, and yes, it took over your whole life. Well, a lot of us are adults now. When you play the new games, you're not going to be as invested and you're not going to love every aspect as much as you did when you were a kid. I think a lot of people hold this game falsely to a higher standard than the older games and make it seem like those old ones were perfect when they are not. If you look at Black Ops 1, it's probably the closest to perfect, but not every map is 100% great through and through. If you look at Black Ops 2, which has become one of the more beloved games in the series, it has two of some of the worst maps of all time. And with Black Ops 3, you have Zetsubo no Shima, which is not the greatest map ever, and Revelations kind of stumbles in a lot of ways when it comes to making a satisfying finale. Black Ops 4 also is still kind of looked at as loved now, even though at the time it wasn't the greatest game, and it still continues not to be one of the greatest zombies experiences. Cold War was a soft reboot, and in a lot of ways goes back to the basics, and I think that we should allow for them to kind of build back up into some of their own, because we have a new director and things of that nature. I just think this map was forced to be the reintroduction of Primus. The community has been complaining so much, and so the devs feel like they have to bring them back so they can have a content fan base. This has made this map suffer a lot in its presentation overall. The devs are doing what they think we want, but what we want is quality maps and story. If we keep rehashing the same ideas over and over again, it won't ever be the same. That is why we need to be more constructively positive. Let Treyarch build their new story and characters over time. Premise was not built overnight, and if we continue to expect every new crew and story to be amazing overnight, we will continue this cycle until COD dies.